everyone, welcome. I'm Kat. I'm an incoming PhD student at the University of Oregon, and I'm one of our science communication interns this summer.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I'm also one of our science communication interns this summer, and I just graduated with my master's from UC Santa Cruz. And today, joining us, we have Gabrielle Troia. Gabrielle is working as an educational resources and data intern this summer, creating and updating geophysics educational materials. She's currently working towards master's degrees, plural, in geosciences and science curriculum and instruction at Virginia Tech, and specializes in GNSS geodesy.
Awesome. So thank you for being with us, Gabrielle.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. Just to start off, we'd love if you could talk a little bit about like your path. You're kind of in a unique situation with your two masters going on at the same time. So kind of your path to get there and what that's been like for you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. My two masters, like fingers crossed, if it all ends up working out. But the path has been evolving over time. I did my undergrad at Virginia Tech as well. I graduated in 2022 and in with a degree in geophysics. And I actually, straight out from undergrad, ended up working for the National Park Service. I worked at Yellowstone National Park just for one season as a park ranger there, which was beautiful. I lived in the park. It was, yeah, the best 5 months. It was so neat. But I wanted to be able to do a little bit more of the science education component that I didn't feel like I always got to do at the Park Service. So I ended up starting to teach high school earth science, which I loved, and I did that for 2 years in Northern Virginia. And then I decided I needed to go back and do a little bit more education coursework to maintain my teaching license. And after lots of talking with some of the people at Virginia Tech, it became clear that I would be able to go back to get my master's in geophysics rather than just science education, while still getting some of those science education classes done for my teaching license. And then since I've started this past year, I'm 1 year into my degree, it's evolved a little bit more into perhaps staying another semester and being able to get not just a degree in geophysics and my teaching license, but also a full degree in science curriculum and instruction, which has been very exciting. So hopefully it continues to go well.
That's awesome. And what's it like kind of balancing that two, like the two portions of your coursework and research?
That's a good question. I think it's very similar to, a lot of the other graduate students that I see all the time. I mean, the classes that I'm taking are just a little bit different. I have, some geophysics classes and I have some science education classes, but it's been fun to try to see how sometimes I'm able to blend the two of them. This past semester I had a class in, it's called like literacy in the content area. So we're basically learning how to promote literacy in disciplines other than English. So, how as scientists, science teachers, we can promote students' literacy, or as history teachers. And I was able to pull in for an activity that I was leading with the class, one of our geophysics research articles, so it's been fun to see the overlap of those two areas. And I'm very lucky to have a research advisor who supports me fully, and she has been really wonderful in trying to help make sure that I'm able to balance the two, which has been great.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So you're doing geophysics specifically. So what is it about like geophysics? What about the physics is interesting to you? And can you talk a little bit about your research in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. To be completely honest, what got me interested in geophysics in the first place was just that it was so unique, and I loved learning about natural hazards. Like earthquakes and volcanoes are just, I think, naturally interesting to a lot of people, myself included. So that kind of drew me to the field early on, back in high school and in undergrad, and I love being outdoors. But then it's evolved more over time. My research project for my master's in geophysics is examining land subsidence in the Chesapeake Bay area. I'm focusing on one specific locality where there is a groundwater withdrawal center. So I primarily use geodesy using GPS to measure and elucidate some of the drivers of that. But that's been really neat to do research in an area where not only I can travel to easily, but it affects people near me. And I end up getting to teach about that if I teach high school.
That is such a cool overlap. Yeah, so that's the work you've been doing for your master's, but now you're doing this internship this summer. Can you talk a bit about the work that you're doing this summer and how it might be different or the same as what you're doing for your master's?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first saw the listing for this internship, I actually couldn't believe how what a perfect combination of the two things that I'm interested in it was. So I was super excited to be able to join the Earthscope team for this summer. Like you guys said, I'm the educational resources and data intern. So primarily, I've been working on creating and updating some of the geophysics education materials that we have. So not just to kind of like get someone interested or like some of them are quicker reads, like a website on what is geophysics or what is geodesy, but then there's also things that I'm writing like lesson plans that could be used by middle school or high school teachers or even instructors at the university level for introductory or even majors level students. So one of the projects I've been working on is one of the modules in GETSY, which is Geophysical Tools for Societal Issues. I always have to look it up because I can never remember some of these acronyms. There's so many. But I've been working on updating one of the existing modules. So it was already written by some experts in the field, and I'm just going through and trying to make it a little bit more cohesive and scaffold it for different age groups or different experience levels, which has been really cool.
I feel like there's a nice overlap between the stuff that you're doing and stuff that we're doing. We're also working on some like what is geophysics? Kat was doing some what is ground penetrating radar. So educational, like public focusing materials. So what's been your favorite part of this work so far? Any unexpected challenges you've been dealing with?
It's been really lovely. One of the favorite things that I've gotten to work on so far has been this summer curriculum studio that will be happening early next week in Southern California. So I think it's 18 middle and high school science teachers who will be coming together for a couple of days to work on updating some of the existing lessons that Earthscope has and the NSF National Geophysical Facility has, and kind of either updating them or changing their format into a more modern format, and they're going to get to field test them in their classes. So they'll kind of take them back and say, okay, here's how I did it. Maybe it needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's a really cool way to kind of like bring the expertise of these educators while also maybe like getting to show them some new geophysics topics or experiments that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten to see. So that's been really fun. I've been working on some of the rubrics and workflows for that, and I've also just gotten to look through all of these lessons that are super cool and kind of wonder, what I might like to incorporate into my teaching in the future.
Yeah, that's super
That's
cool.
very interesting.
Sweet. This is just kind of curiosity. I know you're definitely super busy with like, 2 masters going on now, this internship. But what do you like to do for fun? Do you have any hobbies, any interests?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to hike and backpack and camp when I can. Yeah, time's definitely limited during the semesters. But since I go to school in Virginia Tech, I live in Blacksburg, which is in Appalachia. So we are, a 15-minute drive from the Appalachian Trail and all kinds of wonderful national forests. We're not very far from the Great Smoky Mountains and Shenandoah National Park. So I love to go get outside whenever I can, which I think I won't say that it's always the case for people in geosciences, but I think a lot of people are also drawn to the outdoors
Yeah.
and to this field, which is super cool. But I also love crafts. I like to knit and crochet, and I love to bake. I make bread all the time, which is great, but then I also have too much bread sometimes.
Have you ever used any of your crafts in any education or like when you were teaching?
That's a great question. No, I haven't like crocheted or knitted anything that I've gotten to bring in. Sometimes I have like a sourdough starter that was actually given to me by another science teacher. But sometimes I would bring that in because students just like found it interesting to kind of like look at this bacteria and like it can become food. So yeah, that was kind of fun, but not necessarily related to geosciences specifically. I've never
That is
made
so
like a
cute.
cake with the layers of the earth or anything.
The world is your oyster.
One of my professors for the Intro Geophysics course at my university, she's also a huge baker, and she would bring in like bread dough to teach rebound. So
Oh,
she would
that's
press on the
great.
dough, and then she would just be like, "Okay, if you get bored looking at me, look at the dough. It'll slowly rise throughout the class."
That's a great idea because, part of the reason that the land is potentially subsiding in the Chesapeake Bay is because of glacial isostatic adjustment. And I always use like a pillow if you rest your head on it and like the sides fluff up and then it comes back down. But dough is such a great analogy. I should consider that in the future.
And she would make like a lot of it, and then give everyone a small piece.
Oh,
So
that's
there are
lovely.
so many fun ways to kind of incorporate our hobbies into what we teach.
It's awesome.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I guess like, do you have any plans or ideas of what you might like to do after you graduate, either like career-wise or just in terms of having fun pursuing your hobbies?
That's a great question. You know, who knows exactly what will end up happening after the degree or degrees are finished, but my plan is to return to teaching high school. I really enjoy teaching high school earth science. I will be, at least in Virginia, I'll have enough graduate coursework in my content area to be able to teach at a community college or at the dual enrollment level. So that would be another option as well. But my plan is to continue teaching earth science. In terms of fun things, I'd love to go hike the Wonderland Trail in Washington
Mm.
State. So that might be a fun after graduation celebration.
How do you think that, going back, so you were teaching high school, you are getting these degree or degrees and are interested in going back and teaching more. How do you think that, all of the coursework that you've been doing will impact your teaching or bring to your classroom?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that I feel very lucky to have is a reason to be here. One of the pieces of advice that I got in undergrad from grad students at the time was to not go to grad school just because I didn't know what else to do, which that often can work for people, and that's great. But it's hard. I really enjoy grad school, but I'm a TA as well, and so you've got research and a full course load, and maybe you want to sleep at night, all those things. So it definitely helps to know why you're there on those days where it's a little bit overwhelming. So that's been really wonderful, and I also feel like coming back to school after I've found what I want to do has allowed me to come in with questions that I want answered. Like when I go into my education classes, sometimes I'll be like, I had this problem when I was teaching, how would you have handled this situation or something to that effect? So I think it's been a really wonderful experience, at least for me, to leave and come back. And sort of, yeah, be able to approach it with some problem solving.
It's awesome. Your
I
students will
love
be
that.
very lucky. Can you think of anything else to add? Anything about you? Anything about what you're doing here or at Virginia Tech that you think, I don't know, this chat would be incomplete without?
Goodness. All I can say is I've really loved my time. It's been short so far at Earthscope, but everyone's been so wonderful. It's been a really unique experience to get to work with so many other people in seismology and GNSS geodesy because you don't run into groups of people like that all the time on the street. So it's been really, really exciting to do that. And I also just can't thank my Virginia Tech folks enough because they've been so supportive with, all of my wild interests and endeavors. So it's been really lovely, and it's been so nice to get to meet all of you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's been so nice to get to meet everyone too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated your time and your perspective. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. And thanks to everyone for watching.
Bye.